Let's go! Let's go!
Dime, esto es lo que tú querías. Yo soy fino, esto es trap de galería. Tú eres un charro, Rocky de aquí, una porquería. Yo un campeón, Rocky Marciano, Rocky Balboa, Rocky Balbía. Tengo la ruta, tengo la vía, sí, tengo la vía.
All right, I could dance all day long. You have no idea how hard I had to convince them to play Bad Bunny, right? But we got it off the mark. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the afternoon segment. I've flown in all the way from Dubai, right? So it was an 8.5-hour flight to interact and engage with this incredible audience. And I've had the pleasure of presenting in Tokyo, Sydney, London, and New York. But I understand Johannesburg is where it's at. So I have my social media team here in the background, and I bet my CEO that Joburg can make more noise than New York, which is where he's at, right? So on the count of 3, I want you to make some noise that a celebrity's just walked into this room. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Guys, that was decent. I promised Dale that we'd get some incredible content. I think we could give it one more shot, okay? 1, 2, 3. Voila, okay, so we're off to a great start. So I was thinking, what is the best way to impress this audience? So there's many different ways. There could be charismatic content that we put out there. There could be market-leading AI. Meltwater does a product called Mirror, by the way, right? But I thought the best way is to bribe this audience. So I come from Dubai, so of course this bag here is gold. Inside this very bag is the famous Dubai pistachio chocolate, okay? So one lucky winner is going to win this $35 chocolate. I will definitely not be able to expense this when I get back to the office, right? One member will win this, and the reason why I decided to start with this is that this bar is really a reflection of AI, technology, data, one woman coming together to have a seismic impact on cultural diplomacy, tourism, and shaping trends. Because one lady in one kitchen had an idea to put pistachios into a chocolate, and she had a seismic impact on the actual valuation and price of pistachios 18 months down the road. So often, when you think about technology, it's so easy to think about AI, machine learning, ChatGPT, et cetera, It's maybe not so comfortable to think about AI through the lens of doing something simple, right? Which is to create something with heart and soul. So, as I decided to put this presentation together, I did what any keynote speaker would do. I went into Google Gemini and I said, please put together a kick-ass opening slide for me with my profile picture and my name, and please make sure I don't look corporate. And do you know what AI came up with? They came up with this. I mean, I look like an insurance salesman, for Pete's sake, right? So this is the whole notion behind AI, right? AI without context, AI without culture doesn't have the desired impact, regardless of how much time, effort, and energy that you spend on it. So I thought I'd give it a human touch, right? And I'm also putting myself in your position. It's 2:30 p.m., you've heard lots of different presenters, and you're probably thinking, why should I trust this guy, right? Why does he have compelling content to present? Clearly not based on what ChatGPT produced. So you might trust me if you're potentially a parent. Can I get an awe for my little daughter? Oh, right. So she's 2.5 years of age. She's probably like, Papa, where are you? You've left me again, right? I'm out there earning the money, right? So you might trust me because you're a parent, potentially. If anyone has cracked the code on how to get a 2.5-year-old to sleep for more than 4 hours, please let me know. You might want to trust me because I get to hang out with South Africa's favorite son, and we talked a lot about AI and the ethics of AI. Or you might want to trust me because I get a chance to hang out with Deadpool. To be honest, there was no reason why. I just put it in because I like to to be seen next to Ryan, right? But ultimately, the point here is that context matters. And technology is an enabler. And my theory, at least, is that South Africa no longer needs to rely on other power centers, the Silicon Valleys of this world, the New Yorks or the Londons. I believe that the ecosystem is here, and hopefully AI can help us unlock that. So far, so good. It seems like you're paying attention. So now there's an opportunity to actually win that chocolate bar. So we have placed one mystery envelope underneath one of the seats. We're going to play some music. Please have a search. Play the music. The winner should stand up. There we go. Please stand up. Please stand up. Gentleman over there in the middle, congratulations. There you go. Okay, who won? Somebody has won, right? Okay, so whoever has won, please reach out to us at the end. There you go. There you go. Come up. Congratulations. Please come up to us at the end. You are now the winner of a $35 chocolate bar. I'm crying as I say that, right? So there's another contextual piece which is really important here as well. I had the privilege of moving out to Cape Town quite a few years ago. And so when I talk about technology and AI, it's impossible to mention that without the lens of people. So since that time, we've had a chance to hire, I actually did some more stats, there's over 200 people that I personally hired. 55 of those South Africans were developed into manager position, of which multiple international transfers across the world, and the ratio of that was 65% female, right? Can I get some noise for the females? When I compare this on a global level, this is streets ahead of many of the other markets that I have hired into, and also the development of talent that we've actually had a chance to experience. So a big part of why that's the case is that I'm here to let you know that South Africa is on a different route, right? It's on a faster route across the board as well. And the reason why that's possible is because the demographic here skews young. So a third of the population base is sub 35, and they're incredibly digitally native. So that means they're engaged in products and services and technology. And Africa has an opportunity to really harness that. So when you look at mobile phone consumption rates, the amount of activity and attention that goes in, between the ages of 18 and 26, an average person checks their phone 30 times in 1 hour, right? And you're probably thinking, that's not me. But if you actually count that, it was done scientifically by people way more clever than me, right? It was 30 times. So what that means is the digital activity that's happening, that's taking place, alongside the data and the culture that's being created, gives this part of the world an incredibly important opportunity, and also a chance to really dive into what we call digital dividends. So from that perspective, when you have an engaged population size, when you have good, strong tech infrastructure, and you have AI capabilities, you have a chance to come up with what we call the trifecta, right? And those three components are movement, mindset, and mission. And I know what you're thinking. This probably sounds like a Pilates class. Where's my matcha? But it's not, right? The movement piece is based on the energy that we feel within South Africa and the broader African market. I remember landing in Johannesburg just 2 nights ago, and it's what I would call not a copy-paste city. It's very rich in terms of infrastructure, the arts, heritage, et cetera, et cetera. The mindset is the component where, as humans, we're used to doing things in a certain way. And we'd all be lying if we didn't feel as though AI is potentially there to replace jobs from time to time. We don't always look at efficiency through the same lens. But if we look at AI as an amplifier via the lens of culture, we have a tremendous opportunity. And finally, it's the mission and the mindset. So we believe that technology can create jobs, it can create economic prosperity, and it can also create a level of diplomacy and influence that South Africa can really shape the continent and the broader world as well. So when we look at defining the apex, the challenge for me to the audience is that, in my opinion, we have 1,000 CMOs in this room. We have 1,000 marketeers industry leaders, tastemakers, and I'd be very surprised if in future summits, some of you are not on this side of the stage, right? So it's really that capability and that potential for you to no longer benchmark yourself across other parts of the world, but to understand and realize that the blank canvas that we have, there aren't as many restrictions in this part of the world as I see in other parts of the world in relation to innovation, in relation to access. So how does this parlay from a corporate standpoint? Well, we know that marketing spending is going up, and we also know that there's a large volume of unstructured data that's out there, right? And that content, if you want to call data content, is something that needs to be brought in-house into marketing teams, into comms teams, platforms like Meltwater, that we help you disseminate that information, understand that information, and also make actionable business decisions as well. But you don't need to take my word for it. As I attested to earlier, South Africa has some of the highest mobile connection rates globally, based on the research that we've done. It also has more mobile connections than people. So ultimately, people are second and third screening across the board. But check this out. South Africans have the highest screen time globally. Like the second in class, you probably can't see that, is Brazil. Right? So South Africa is #1 in terms of time spent online via your mobile phone. So where attention goes, revenue flows. So what attention is that? What is the content that's being created? So 149 zettabytes of data was created and consumed in 2024 alone. So if you're not a boffin, a bit like me, what does that really mean, right? So if every single person in the world was on every single mobile platform and social media platform, so whether it be X, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, and everything in between, and they created content every day, 24/7, in 4K quality, you would get to that number in 11 years, right? To really put that into content. So as marketeers, as communicators, of course you're going to be a little bit overwhelmed because we're the first generation that is monetizing social content, right? And that's not trivial. Imagine being the first wave of doctors, accountants, lawyers, scientists. Okay, what we do isn't necessarily like life-saving, but what we're doing is defining an entire industry. So often it's important to recognize that and also appreciate that too. So when you look at that figure, 149 zettabytes, I'll give you an example of what 1 zettabyte looks like. That's a lot of zeros. That's 21 zeros. And to put that into context for you, when you head home tonight and you reflect, and you're like, that guy was such a good presenter, right? Like, I really want to just chill out, eat my pistachio chocolate, drink some matcha, right? And you flip on Netflix. If you were to watch every single show in every single language, in every single category, it would make up 1/3 of 1 zettabyte, right? So the whole notion here is that when you are working within an internal organization, whether it's an NGO, whether it's a Fortune 500, whether you're a startup or a big listed player, you need to have the capabilities to understand and to disseminate that content or disseminate that data. We believe that data without culture, without understanding, without nuance, is largely ineffective. So we decided, can we do anything about it? So 17 years ago, we decided to head out into Accra, Ghana, and we set up a school for entrepreneurs. And our philosophy has always been that talent is equally distributed across the world. There's no better person in one side of the world in comparison to another. But opportunity is not. So this is our chairman and founder, Jørn Lissigen, awesome dude, Norwegian Korean by heritage. He actually did my interview. He grilled me for 3 hours. Can you believe it? I think I just skate through. 2 weeks later, I was actually in Norway, Oslo, which was the HQ of the firm at the time. I was the 57th employee, right? And now we're 2,500 people. And within the first few years in the company, he actually gave me the opportunity to be part of this team that launched into Accra. So this was the output when you marry technology and AI with warmth and love and care and technical capability and opportunities. We've trained over 2,000, we call them entrepreneurs in training, EITs, over 2,000 students across all of Africa. So people apply and we fly them in, we house them. We've created 94 companies and helped them secure 30 million in investment. And we've created multiple jobs, over 500 across the board. Why were we able to do that, right? Because we believe that our cultural values, Amuro and respect, which in Norwegian, in English I'll translate, which is fun, winners, and respect, they were as relevant 20 years ago as they are right now. Just that enjoyment of giving people access to information and infrastructure. And that's really the intangible asset that you will never see on a corporate report at the end of the year, right? No one will be like, oh, culture gets generated X amount of revenue. But we believe it absolutely can, and AI is a huge enabler behind that. So what does that mean, right? You're probably sat there thinking, how can we pivot? How can we communicate culture? Well, the creator economy is projected to grow triple-digit over the next 2 years alone. So influencers, your favorite online comedians, I know the host does a lot of skits on Instagram and so on and so forth. These are the people that will create mini fandoms that have the opportunity to really influence the brand perception that you have. And within the next 2 years, AI will shape 30% of your brand perception. So that's before anyone has said any type of search. AI is already defining and presenting what your brand looks like. So if you're anything like me and you like research, you already know that Gen Z, their primary method of search is not Google, it's actually TikTok, right? And it makes a lot of sense, right? You go to where you believe you can trust the content, much like hopefully you trust me, right? So when you add AI by itself is okay, culture by itself is okay, but when you combine the two, you have the opportunity to do something transformative. And so far, we talked about improving top line, hitting KPIs, reshaping the industry. But this component can also have a deep social impact. And this next example is a really good way to articulate that.
South Africa is mourning the loss of rapper and fashion designer Ricky Rick.
Tributes are pouring in for South African rapper Ricky Rick.
Just 34 years old and extraordinarily talented.
I think his fans still don't want to believe this news.
Looking at the statistics within South Africa, we have one of the highest rates of suicide.
We didn't just lose a massive musical talent, but a person whose words uplifted everyone around him. Inspired by Ricky's last tweet, we created Stronger, a hip-hop track that brought Ricky's voice back to life using his social media posts and AI as a message of hope.
It was surreal because he had almost left the song in some of the posts, and all we had to do was piece it all together. We really didn't actually add anything. We tried to keep quite true to it. All of the words and lyrics used in the song was Ricky's.
God gave us the gift of life, now it's up to ourselves to gift ourselves our own gift of living it well. I just want to leave something that people can build on.
Stronger grounds our connection to mental health and well-being.
I really do think Ricky's words provide a lot of hope for not just the fans, but like us as well as a family.
I think that his words will resonate with a lot of people that are struggling with their mental well-being.
The re-emergence of Ricky's voice gripped the attention of the nation and helped give mental health a platform.
At this stage of my life, I don't really care how people remember you. As long as I've left something that people can build on.
I know, shout out to Ricky Rick, and that's such a compelling story, right, to articulate. You never would have thought AI was potentially used through that prism. So as I wrap things up, I'm optimistic and confident about the future. I feel as though New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, they can take a bit of a backseat, right? Africa's got this. This is an example of how AI has modeled what futurism can look like. Anyone knows how to make these types of outfits, let me know, hit me up, right? I'm interested. Maybe they'll bring me back next year and I'll drop one of these outfits or two. But ultimately, data isn't enough, right? We need to move from metrics to meaning. So what does this mean as we parlay into the conclusion part of this presentation? Gen AI has the potential to unlock between $61 to $103 billion in additional economic value for South Africa. That's like the output of most GDPs in potential countries across the board. What that means is opportunity, right? Will it be tough? For sure. But I genuinely feel as though there's a platform there for marketeers and communicators to really succeed. If you look at this, 40% of marketeers feel as though they don't know how to get most value out of Gen AI. And that makes perfect sense, right? Your role is changing from a quarter-to-quarter basis, right? It's no longer just $1 in, $7 out, right? There are new social platforms, there's data ingestions, there's internal architecture, there's GEO, SEO, all of that. My plea to you is this. In Africa, in my humble opinion, we have the opportunity to really have a substantial impact in terms of how we lead, how we shape, and how we define the industry. And I genuinely believe the footprint, the digital breadcrumbs, if you like, is all there. So today, I want to promote you all. You're a CMO, you're a CMO, you at the back sleeping, you're also a CMO, right? And what I'd like you to think of is to build with AI, like really immerse yourself in the technology. You do not need to have a technical background, right? But please try to engage with the platform. And that's what Meltwater has tried to do. We have a market-leading product called Mira. We ingest ChatGPT and Gemini into it, but we also provide an infrastructure for learning and development and curation. So build that data fluency, and I'd argue that culture doesn't need to be something that's intangible. It can be embedded into your values. It can be embedded into your workflows, into your appraisals. Like, culture at its core is about feeling good, right? Doesn't everyone want to feel good, right? When you go into work, when you produce a great piece of output, and lead with boldness, right? Take risks from time to time. I cannot encourage that even more. So we took that risk, if you remember, when we went out to MEST in Accra, Ghana. These are some of the companies that we have created. These are young people, 21, 22, 23. We had some mature students, right, that were 40 plus, for example. And they have incredible businesses that are market leading across the world. Agriculture, environment and waste management, probably not my topic, but like great for that person. Media and entertainment, AI, like this is inspiring, right? This is proof of work that we have. But maybe our biggest accomplishment was to put this lady on stage. She became the first woman to win the Royal Academy Prize for engineering in Africa. If you're in the audience, please take a picture, tweet her, Instagram her, let her know that we're incredibly proud because she created, let's give her a round of applause. She created an AI product locally that then went global. And that's the whole point of this presentation, hopefully, is that technology is a wonderful enabler. And Meltwater is trying our best to be part of that conversation. For many years now, I'm sure you've probably seen all the content online. We've had an industry-leading Women in Tech forum. We've now decided to take that outside of the four walls of the company. So we'll be hosting multiple activations across the world so that we can bring together a shared space for mentorship, inspiration, and alike. So please keep your eyes peeled for that one. And on that note, I want to give a huge shout out to some of my team members. So Philippa Dodds, who heads up Women in Tech, that is now based in Miami, actually started off in our Cape Town office. Rebecca is our head of marketing. She's done a phenomenal job here as well. And my two colleagues, Storm and Tumi, that have had a tremendous impact. Like, they've really showered me with love. And I feel as though I feel very privileged to be sat here or to be stood here speaking to this audience because it's absolutely something that I do not take for granted. So I'll leave you with this. Boldness is absolutely contagious, but I want to take you back to the opening segment. and this chocolate bar, which I'll sadly not get to eat, but I'll give it away. There was a lady in a kitchen in Dubai that decided to put a bunch of pistachios into a chocolate bar. That one idea, she thought, maybe I'll get 2 or 3 bars to sell. She ended up having a phenomenal product, and it was powered by data. It was powered by decision-making, understanding segmentation, and it had the opportunity to drive cultural diplomacy cross borders and leave an impact. And so for me, that is the biggest power of AI. It's about giving that one lady in a kitchen the opportunity to make a global impact. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.